Peace to the tribe. Peace to the tribes, man. AHWH for tuning in, for tapping into this Naga charge. We diving straight into it, Shabbat. Let go. Shalom to the real ones. If you got that last drop we did, our first live, you know what time it is right now. If you got that live drop that we did, you know what time it is right now. This is just a tawada for all my real ones that surfed the wave with me. On that live, we're going to carry on. Let's get it back. We're going to continue on. Like I said, we carrying on straight from the live drop. I know that it was about 5 hours long. You know, we was feeling the vibe. Max AHWH to everyone checking it out. This is strictly for the ones that sat there and surfed the wave with us in real time. So, we just continuing to gas up, you know what I'm saying? And we gonna carry on, Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Let's get it.
Separate from the physical body, allowing you to travel to unimaginable places. Separate from the physical body, allowing you to travel to unimaginable places. This phenomena, which is linked to a sense of déjà vu, is known as astral projection, which is a gateway to another realm outside of our bodies. The term astral projection has been employed by Hermetic Order of Golden Dawn, and the phrase increasingly refers to non-physical exploration of the corporeal world. A prevalent theosophical conviction involves accessing a repository of esoteric knowledge referred to as the Akashic Records, which is believed to be all celestial database that contains information about every soul and its journey. Many select secret associations believe that the evolution of mankind is a twofold process. One part involves the general generational advancement, and the other centers on the ongoing growth.
What were we talking about when it comes to this anion, right? When we were digging on this anion. And like I said, this is, you know, picking up exactly where we left off. Remember, we were talking about your power centers. Okay? So keep in mind, this is what we're building on, especially when it comes to this quantum physics. and how they're relaying this astral projection to quantum physics. All right. Peace to the real ones.
Secret associations believe that the evolution of mankind is a twofold process. One part involves the general generational advancement, and the other centers on the ongoing growth and ascension of individual souls that come back to life, thereby advancing further with each cycle. Some studies within the realms of parapsychology, spirituality, and metaphysics dive into a deeper understanding of this phenomena by observing brain activity during reported astral projection experiences.
Real quick, we were digging on this ascension, right? This ascension, and we're trying to let you know to how to activate your vehicle of ascension, right? Because we're taking that ascendant sign, your ascendant sign, right? Whatever your rising sign is, we're taking that powwow and we're using it to project ourselves, right? We're using it to project this power straight into the oversoul to connect back to your higher self. So this is what we're talking about with this ascension, especially dealing with this vehicle of ascension. And you saw how the body was placed when they mentioned it. All right, we're just talking anion, aha to Yosef, aha to the tribe. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to this wata.
Process. One part involves the general generational advancement, and the other centers on the ongoing growth and ascension of individual souls that come back to life, thereby advancing further with each cycle. Some studies within the realms of parapsychology, spirituality, and metaphysics dive into a deeper understanding of this phenomena by observing brain activity during reported astral projection experiences. There's a few methods of entering an astral plane, but it varies on each person, so you will have to find a guide which fits for you. What do you think? Share your perception and experience in the comments.
Keeps doing it, huh? It's like the sound just goes out. Why is it doing it now?
Separate from the physical body, allowing you to travel to unimaginable places. Separate from the physical body, allowing you to travel to unimaginable places. This phenomena, which is linked to a sense of déjà vu, is known as astral projection, which is a gateway to another realm outside of our bodies. The term astral projection has been employed by Hermetic Order of Golden Dawn, and the phrase increasingly refers to non-physical exploration of the corporeal world. A prevalent theosophical conviction involves accessing a repository of esoteric knowledge referred to as the Akashic Records, which is believed to be all celestial database that contains information about every soul and its journey. Many select secret associations believe that the evolution of mankind is a twofold process. One part involves the general generational advancement, and the other centers on the ongoing growth and ascension of individual souls that come back to life, thereby advancing further with each cycle. Some studies within the realms of parapsychology, spirituality, and metaphysics dive into a deeper understanding of this phenomena by observing brain activity during reported astral projection experiences. There's a few methods of entering an astral plane, but it varies on each person, so you will have to find a guide which fits for you. What do you think? Share your perception and experience in the comments.
All right, Shabbat, so we're going to carry on to the next one. Hey, all right, so I want to bring your attention to this next one that we're going to get into. And we happen to be digging on Gabe the Angel, right? And this is just to show some of us move in patterns or in frequencies not readily or easily picked up by the average. All right, and this is just to let you know that, you know, some of us move unlike any others. You know, so we bring this certain message, just certain wata, not as a boast, but as a crucial reminder. All right. We aren't for sure technically how much time we have, right? So when that message needs to get out, well, it's pushed out and served to the public at large with an urgency. So this is just to show an example on how such urgency can be given, you know what I'm saying? And what one might do in order to relay this message. Because this has been a thing amongst our people. Hawa has always sent messengers amongst our people, to our people, for our people, to remind our people, to help refresh the memory, the the wata of the tribe, of our people, of our Shabbata, for our family, all right? And this reminder is a tribal reminder. This is what connects us in this ether. So let's dive into it.
It's the book. I seen it. I say, I know him. That's my brother. I'm gonna buy me a new horn so St. Peter can hear me when it's time to open the gate. Ready to get ready for the judgment.
Okay, I'm going to help y'all understand this deep character and his role he played. So Gabriel, he survived a headshot during World War II. This left him with a metal plate in his head, and people dismissed him as crazy. But his visions and insights come from a spiritual connection formed during his time that he spent with St. Peter. It's the same St. Peter that Jesus gave the keys of heaven to, and is also known as the keeper of the book of life. And Gabriel talks about sitting with Peter and breaking bread, and what he calls
big fat biscuits.
Now, bread in this sense represents spiritual nourishment. And this also mirrors the idea in Matthew 4:4, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that...
Yo, when we were surfing that cane drop, we was really digging on this bread. And although I do want to build in a great vibration and frequency for this clip, just always got to keep in mind what's being slipped in when it comes to this New Testament, huh? Always got to read between the lines, because we got what that bread actually was kicking. Just keeping in mind, you know, surf the wave.
Gabriel talks about sitting with Peter and breaking bread, and what he calls
big fat biscuits.
Now, bread in this sense represents spiritual nourishment. And this also mirrors the idea in Matthew 4:4, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of God's mouth. And this ties Gabriel's experiences and reinforces his spiritual depth. When he tells Troy,
he let me see your name. He got it in there under M.
It's a moment of reassurance for Troy's fate. But where it gets deep, he also said,
got Rose's name. I ain't seen it like I seen George, but I know it's in there.
This moment here foreshadows the eventual separation between Troy and Rose and his adultery that broke the covenant.
I'm gonna be your daddy.
Then Gabriel starts hearing hellhound.
Yeah, that's the hellhound. I'm gonna chase them out of here. Ah! Yeah.
You see how he be on them dog heads? I know a lot of y'all feel a certain way when Natural get to speaking on these dog heads. But if you got that last drop that we did on the live, I explained in great detail just exactly why this vibration is so strong. We're only talking about the tribal warrior. Yeah, we're talking about a tribal warrior. A warrior for the Shabbata. That is natural by law. Halahawa.
In mythology, hellhounds are guardians of the underworld and hunters of lost souls. And that's coming after Troy. But Gabriel fights him off because he's preparing Troy for a spiritual reckoning.
Ready to get ready for the judgment.
And that's not a warning to the world. That's a warning to Troy of what's coming. Gabriel shows up at Troy's house.
Oh, I've been chasing hellhounds and waiting for the time to tell St. Peter to open the gate.
Waiting on the battle on Armageddon, huh?
Oh, it ain't gonna be too much of a battle when God gets to waving that judgment sword. Whew.
See, because he already seen how it all ends. So Rose, she offers Gabriel a plate.
You want me to fix you a plate? I'll just take a sandwich, Rose. I don't want no plate. Want to eat with my hands? I'll take a sandwich. What about...
See, back to bread. However, this small moment has a strong spiritual connection. See, Gabriel prefers to eat with his hands, which reflects the concept to see, S-E-E, sacred energy exchange. In some spiritual practices, the hands are seen as an extension of the body's energy field, and eating with your hands creates a connection between you and the food, allowing your energy to merge with what nourishes you. And the fingers are believed to correspond with the 5 elements, which are earth, fire, water, air, and ether. Ether represents the heavens, the celestial realm, the divine. And Gabriel's initial refusal to eat at the nursing home shows his disconnection from that sacred exchange while institutionalized, but he still needs to eat. And when Troy confesses his infidelity to Rose, Gabriel pops up, not by coincidence. He already knew this was coming. He came there to be close and to pray. And later, we see a collection of trumpets and parts, and this is a symbolic representation of Gabriel's efforts to prepare to open the gates of heaven. And each trumpet symbolizes a different attempt or hope. But Gabriel's enduring faith and perseverance is all that he needed. And when Gabriel is institutionalized, he can no longer ward off the hellhounds. The camera zooms in on the trumpet, and this is symbolizing Gabe's final step is approaching. Now, after Troy dies, Gabriel arrives unaccompanied. He touches the foreheads of Troy's children, blessing them before blowing his trumpet. And the first attempt fails. Then he raises his arm, saying, Troy.
Troy. Troy.
But he's not calling out to him, he's signaling to the heavens who it's for. And here we see the fence closing on the left side of the screen, symbolizing the end of Troy's earthly struggles. There in spirit to secure the family before the gates of heaven open. And this time the trumpet miraculously sounds. The clouds part and an angelic silhouette pops up with the sun centered. And everyone stands in awe while Gabriel, unsurprised but complete, smiles and said,
That's the way that goes.
Then he runs off fulfilled. See, Gabriel was a spiritual warrior fighting for Troy's soul and a reminder that there's a greater plan at work. And thank you.
You see what's going on. A-ha for this brother for even breaking this scene down because it's right on time with the flow that we're on. But I'm going to bring your attention to this part right here.
The clouds part and an angelic silhouette pops up with the sun centered.
Now I want you to keep in mind this shape right here, okay? Surfing the wave, we're about to get into something else. So keep this image in mind. Yes, Natural's asking you to make a mental note. Shalom to the real ones.
Centered. And everyone stands in awe while Gabriel, unsurprised but complete, smiles and said,
That's the way that goes.
Then he runs off fulfilled. See, Gabriel was a spiritual warrior fighting for Troy's soul and a reminder that there's a greater plan at work. And thank you for your amazing talent and skill, Mr. Michael T. Williams.
Troy.
Amazing, amazing. We're going to carry on, Shabbat Ahab. So keep in mind everything that we've been digging on. And like I said, for you to keep that image in mind, right? Now let's surf the wave and get to this water. Yo, this media player is kind of washed to keep doing that with my sound.
Y'all gotta see this video. This is insane. Check this out. What that look like to you. Watch this clip. Do the food, do your bag. Look how beautiful this is. What y'all think of this spectacle? Let me know. So anybody got any idea what this is? I don't want to say it because, you know.
You saw what that looked like, right? Doesn't it look familiar to what we were just looking at with Gabriel the angel? What have we been discussing lately? Vehicles of Ascension. Just making sure you still tapped in, Con.
I don't want to say it because, you know, it gets censored. Y'all let me know. Peace.
we're going to bring this back, right? And before anyone get out here in these comments and start trying to troll, it can be a number of things, yes. But this is a search topic that is actually being hidden from the feed at large because of what's going on. In fact, you can't even come out and say exactly what it is because they have these key words banned, right? Shadow banned. So they came up with another term like Dior bag. And that's how I surf the wave on this, because I know what this is already, but they're now terming it Dior bags because they don't want us talking about such things. All right. But we've been building on how to access and even develop such an energy source. And this is what that live drop was all about. So if you didn't catch it, you don't know what's really going on right now, maybe you have a feeling or a clue. But we got into it really, really deep in the live drop. And we're just continuing on that vibration. HWH.
Y'all gotta see this video. This is insane. Check this out. What that look like to you. Watch this clip. Beautiful Dior bag. Look how beautiful this is. What y'all think of this spectacle?
High vibrations.
So anybody got any idea what this is? I don't want to say it because, you know, it gets censored. Y'all let me know. Peace.
We know surfing the wave with Drive Nation. It's for sure we know, and that's all Tawada, Big Ama, and Big Abba. We're just speaking Hawa. On to the next one, Shabata. Let's get it. So like I was saying, man, this is just a special ahab, a special tawada to everyone that surfed the wave with us on our first live. And technically to everyone surfing the wave on our website at naturalbylaw.net. It's been a wonderful honor and pleasure shipping off y'all packages this weekend. this you know, shalom, the Shabbat shalom. And you know what I'm saying, it just puts a smile on my face, letting me know, or reminding me, I should say, of just how much the Shabbatas tapped in with the wave. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole collective all across the spectrum. So as we gear up for another ride on the Magic Ether Bus, I just wanted to show my ahab with this particular drop that we're getting into today. Cause this is fresh off the track, you know what I'm saying? Strictly for the real ones. So let's go. And with that being said, man, it's an honor to even have real ones such as yourself tapped into this build. And this is just to let you know that I got nothing against books or anyone reading or sharing books, because as you can see, well, I read books myself. I'm an avid book reader, you know, and as you'll see, it was this title in this book that caught my attention, right? And as it caught my attention, well, I picked it up, and I had a great, you know, resonating feeling about this title, because I knew what this was going to be about. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people see this term dust and they connect that dust to affer, right? That affer, and that is the root word to Ama Africa. That is the vibration of Ama Africa, right? So this dust is linked to this Africa. And yet everyone's always, demonizing this dust. And I got to thinking, well, this can either go two ways, right? Because I know they're going to be talking about the natural ones. But which natural ones? And are we talking about the dust as Africa, or are we talking about the dust as in Adama? You see what's going on? Because when you're surfing the wave on this book, well, they show us exactly what's going on, huh? Okay, so we talking about Indian territories. Alright, Indian territories. Okay. You see it. So what are we really talking about? Are we talking about that Africa, or are we talking about Adama? I'll let you go ahead and decide that wata for yourself, but this is just to show we read books as well. So when I make statements stating that we don't necessarily do the books, it's coming from a freestyle type of mentality. See, as a musician, as a recording artist, as a writer, someone that raps, a lot of this is off the dome. Like right now in real time, this is a pre-recording, but this is off the dome. I'm freestyling off the dome. That's why we always got music in the bag. So a lot of these thoughts are original in the sense that I'm projecting from an original source, which is me. Not to quote or regurgitate someone else's writing, but displaying what's already inside of me, okay? The jewels that are already inside of me and others that do this. But much HWH to everyone, out there sharing books and getting to that drop, that wata through books. It's never no shade, never no disrespect. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that natural does different. Sort of like Gabe the angel. Alright? Because as a youngin', I've always been in touch with this light. I've always been in touch with that inner child. I am a Gemini, alright? And we are known for being very curious intellectuals. And it's that curiosity that has led me to that inner light. But I had to go through darkness because I was brought up in darkness. Some might say we are still in darkness. And I'm just learning that darkness is all HWH. When you silence the mind, well, the message becomes very clear. And this is why we're surfing the wave, right? Because this is for the future generations, those who are to come, right? Well, the message becomes very clear. And that message is the human spirit needs places where nature has not been rearranged by the hand of man. And this is why we do drops like these. And this is why we're surfing the wave for those real ones. See, Shabbatai, this experience can only be dug when you surf the wave right here with Drop Nation. Cause we are the wave. Because we are the wave, well, I have to now bring you into this channel, right? This channel of frequency and vibrations that is only streamed right here, So let's continue on this fabulous journey, shall we? Max Tawada to the code keepers, that is MHOE. So see, as we open up this channel, as we begin surfing this wave that we're on, right? Continuing on in this journey. Well, we're now showing how we jump portal to portal. Alright, and this is that everlasting wata. This is that everlasting charge. This is the everlasting spiral. The transformation of Ama and Abba. Alright. That's what this is. That's what's going on right about now. So let's continue to surf the wave. See, I tend to arrive at the function, I alter the vibe, and then I leave. Okay, and that's my function. To change the vibe and set the vibe, and then leave as the Shabbata enjoys this high elevation. Okay? Because there is a system of transformation that unlocks you the abundance that you really want in your life. And that's what we digging on, you know what I'm saying? This transformation, Shabbat, because we are in this age of transformation. And it's a great one. This one is just specifically for you. This is just for you. This is just for the tribe, for the Shabbata. Keep in mind that to be tribal is to be natural, and to be natural is to be tribal. Alright? Because we have calcium in our bones, iron in our veins, carbon in our souls, and nitrogen in our brains. 93% stardust with souls made of flames. We are all just stars that have people names. And that's word to our Aqua TBC, you know what I'm saying? Just a little magic eat the bus poetry as we surf the wave. This is real spill, man. Natural's been kicking this celestial connection to the real ones. Because this build is a marvelous build. This charge is a marvelous charge, Shabbat. And when you realize that we are just stars that have people names, well, we begin to surf the wave like this, right? Surfing a wave like this, well, what is it that we see? We see the so-called star, right? The so-called star shedding this resonance, this frequency, this vibration that can be channeled and received through the mental of the temple, what we refer to as the mind. Right? And this is a stimulation. This is a charge. This is a transference of code. that code being uploaded into your very being. Because we're talking about ascension, Shabbat. We're talking about that lifting. Alright, that rise, that anion. And because we're talking that anion, well, not only do you have chakras throughout the body, right? But those same chakras that are in the body are lined up right here in the mind, in the brain, inside the human head. So keep in mind, when we were building on you being the principal people in part 1, right? You being the principal people, that is the head, which was and which is most important. But now you can see what's going on, right? And why we're digging on such a thing. Because we're talking about the physical location of the chakras, right? Corresponding map of chakras in the brain. And we're connecting those chakras that are in the brain to your body. Okay? This is what we're surfing the wave on. Because when you gain these connections in the brain to higher spiritual chakras, well, what were we talking about on the last drop? And you can see exactly how this begins to happen, right? And why it makes so much sense. So you have this connection, right? Mind you, we were talking about building on this connection from the so-called stars. Keep in mind, I want you to take another mental side note to this, right? The spirals within a spiral, okay? You got the spirals within a spiral showing you dimensions, okay? So this is what we're surfing the wave with. So when we're getting back here, well, we're showing you how this is all within the mind. So when we're talking that astral travel, you see what's going on. Because we're building on this universal force, right? This universal powwow. And we were showcasing in that live drop just how this cosmic plan was displayed and understood by the naturals, by law. Alright, so setting yourself up for this reception. Okay, keep in mind we're still talking about this spiral within the spiral. Alright, now see how it's connected to so-called Earth's force, or the force of the Earth. You see what's happening? Alright, and we're talking about the body, the physical body. So carrying on. Now we see the galactic center. And seeing this galactic center, we see how the spiral is right here, just spiraling. Now you see how this connects from the higher will, going to the middle, to the lower, straight to you. And this oscillation within the pineal gland, the 5 eyes, you know what I'm saying? Well, this represents that oscillation, because keep in mind we're talking about a wheel. So notice how the oscillation, you start to spiral up. You know, this drop is to help jumpstart and increase the speed of this spiral, right? To increase the speed of your ascension. Because we got to be able to spiral at a certain vibration in order for this to kick in. So the more we feed, the more we resonate, the more we come together and tribe up, to charge up, to zon up, to kum kum, you know what I'm saying? The more we build this Hawa Hawa within us, because we are the image of Hawa, my naga, and them nagas are back. Now you see how this is anioning, right? Or how our good Ak, Yosef was telling us about the ionizing, so you can see the anion braiding. We're talking now that quantum physics, okay? So digging with this, we see how that connects us to these extra chakras, right? You see here, it's talking about a certain degrees above the head. And you see here at S12, we're now talking about that deep space. Okay, so we have access past the 12 that's normally shown in the so-called Tree of Life chart. And we'll be able to see this in just a bit. Right, but when you're paying attention to the access of these center points, these chakra points, these energies have a way of corresponding and outreaching to pull in. It's an absorption. Like the Ak was saying, the Ak Yosef was saying, we're constantly ionizing. All right, we're constantly ionizing. The body is constantly resonating with the energy fields around it. Now you see how this is the earth, okay? So we're talking about the stimulation of this natural energy grid. Keep in mind how they're talking about hovas right here, right? And we know what hovas are. It says it means the tritonal scalar grid or scalar grid. But hova is actually the back half of Jehovah, right? Yehovah. So keep in mind, we're talking about a God body. Alright? A God body. So let's continue on surfing the wave. Max Ahab. Okay, so mind you, right? I was telling you to keep that image. Make a mental note of that image, because as you can see, this is that image. It's the same thing. So we can see that the fire and the water, these elements combine through the force of the earth, right? The earth being the medium or the channel. And when you have these intertwining, they tend to create this air. And in the middle of this air and earth, you have the ether. And the ether is supposed to be the connecting point between the air and the earth. All right? Water coming from the earth, right? Water coming from the earth. That fire coming from the air. That air and that fire floating up above, right? Personifying or materializing in the ether form. All right. We're going to show you just how. Because when we're talking about reality, well, that air represents the spirit, right? That fire, the air represents the spirit and the creative spirit, right? We're talking about the impulse of creativity. That flame represents a spark. That spark is a charge. See what's going on? So reality is always manifesting through a portal, and you have to pick your charge, like the Ak Yosef was saying. You got to be able to choose up on your frequency, on your vibe. You know what I'm saying? You got to know that keeping the code is what enables you to evolve. All right, so you want to be able to manifest what it is that you're putting into play, that you wish to transform. Okay, because it's in that middle where the transformation begins. Again, the ether being your powwow of transformation. And that's how you switch the polarities, because this is where they meet. So keep this in mind, this shape. All right. Furthermore, we have one going down, the other rising up. And they're correlating to the past, right? This experience. So this is what generates in the past, the matter. Okay? Notice how matter has a negative charge to it, a negative charge. So this is your negative charge of the matter. And you send that negative charge up. Alright? To be met by this positive charge. We're talking your anodes and cathodes. Anodes and cathodes. You surfing the wave? Because when you realize that your chakra centers, your chakra points, is actually the tree of life, like how Adam said, right? Adam, he said that he was privy to the tree of life and that tree of knowledge. He knew the things to come. He knew what Hawa would do. Well, when you use the scale, the tree to scale your energy centers, your chakras, right? As you can see, you are able to go past the barrier into this 13, 14, 15. They currently have you locked down with Kabbalah, right? With Kabbalah and the study of such things, they keep you locked in at 12. But we go higher than that. The KTCs go higher than that. The MHOEs go higher than that. Alright? This is why you always hear us saying surf the wave above the barrier. Because we go above the barrier. We're on to that 13, 14, 15. This is why you now hear Natural in this fifth wave speaking on so-called black holes. We're just talking Amma. Talking a portal. So when you understand that this tree of life is already the tree of life inside of you, your chakra centers, well, you understand that tree, that chakra point, just makes you natural by law. This is the understanding. You see what's going on? This is reclamation of your powwow. This is how you light that charge, light that fuse. Okay? Because when you light that fuse, well, like we said in the last drive, the messengers are here, right? And I am but a humble messenger in the warrior frequency of the tribe, letting them know it's time. And that time is about our ascension. It's about our anion. It's about our rising. Because they can't stop the drop. And I'm trying to activate that oscillation, which is currently dead. You know what I'm saying? So when you give life to this oscillation, when you give life to this spiral, when you give life to this charge, well, you realize you are the universe expressing itself as a human for a little while, a so-called human at that. Because you let this corporation tell it, we were only 3/5 of such, huh? makes one wonder what a human actually is. Because when we're talking about Drake Khans, we understand that this was a cosmic order and that we were made in the image of Hawa. And this is the message that I got from the Council of Elohim. See, that Council of Elohim, they approached me, and those 7 beings gave me a charge. They gave me a direct charge, and that charge was to bring this powwow back to the tribes. You know what I'm saying? And this was a great realization because it hit me dead smack in the face. They didn't even allow me to argue. It was no such thing. This powwow was too humbling. I just had to come into realization that as a natural by law, well, we were of the elementals. And this was the charge. And now I'm sharing this charge with the Shabbatah. It's a wonderful charge, man. You know what I'm saying? And we're accessing this charge all the way back to our oversouls. That is our once upon a time giants. You see what's going on? See, your religion does not prohibit me from anything. It prohibits you. So learn the difference. Learn the difference, my nigga. I'm not concerned about your religion or your religious ways or beliefs. I am not trying to be put or placed in a box of religious beliefs. It's over for all of that. I'm just here to show you the message of Hawa, and we shall carry on. Max, say hi. See, realizing you aren't restricted, realizing you aren't being held down or held back, you start to connect to this cosmic energy. And as soon as you connect to this cosmic energy by way of Hawa, well, through the opening and the oscillating of these chakra centers, that is your powwow, one begins to understand, okay? Through this cosmic energy, one begins to understand. One begins to see, okay? They begin to see what they understand. They begin to see clearly. One begins to speak that truth or that which they are able to see, which is the cosmic understanding, aligning them with truth and resonance. That speech transforms one's energy or frequency into Ahab. Now, you see the symbol that's around Ahab. I want you to keep that in mind, right? Let's look at Ahab. You see that? And what does that look like? Keep in mind, love and Ahab are not the same frequency. You know what I'm saying? But keep in mind, we're talking about Ahab, okay? Now look at the symbol behind that chakra point. Okay, when you're opened up to this Ahab, well, it gives you the will, and that will is how you manifest what you want. It gives you the power of you being able to be able. And when you realize that you're able, you then are able to say I do, right? Because you're now able to do. This is the function of Hawa, because Hawa is to be. So you want to be able to do. If Hawaii is to be, you want to be able to do. And when you're able to do, well, you begin to feel. You begin to feel this blissfulness, this charge. Some can say that it's a pleasure. Some might say that it's a sensation. This is a revelation. This is an awakening. And when you realize that you're awakening, well, you begin to recognize that you are, that I am, that we are. You see what's going on? Giving you step-by-step recognition, hopefully that you'll be able to see it is talking about you. We're opening you up to you, okay? And you take your ascendant sign, your rising sign, and the power of that sign, and you apply it to your route, your exit. Because you want to realize that I am eternal. I am divine. I am transcendent. I am free. I am love, Ahab. I am magical. I am creative. I am powerful. Throughout all of this is Hawa. And we're talking Ama and Abba. I am. I am. I am. That is just Hawa, Hawa. Hawa being the most ancient root word of this Heya Heya. The most ancient root word. Your Hawa is primordial. It is first. Alright? And when you're in this recognition, as you see, get all the lights. You learn that you are divine as the image of Hawa. As the image of Hawa, you realize I am connected to the source. And when you're connected to the source, well, you learn that I am expressive of this source, of this powwow. For I am the vehicle of this powwow. And recognizing that you are the vehicle of this powwow, well, you start to feel Ahab. Then you recognize that Hawa, Ahab's you. You are Ahab by Hawa. That recognition then makes you strong, and you become strong. I am strong because I am just the image of Hawa, which makes me creative, because I am the creation of the creator. I am creative. I am here to create. That recognition gives you the protection you need, the zon you need, the tent you need, right? You are then safe. One begins to feel safe and secured. So not only do you have your breath, but now you have your security. Shabbat. Are you surfing the wave with a naga right now? And it's when you realize all of these things, well, you start to open up dimensions and channels. Because as you can see, we're starting from that cosmic energy all the way down to the stream of the body of the temple that then creates a new dimension for you to step forward. See what's going on? So you create a new dimension that allows you to step forward. And now we're talking a new dimension. You see what's happening? Now you're creating this 3D space. And when you create this 3D space, you're using that cosmic gateway, that universal gateway, that stellar gateway to then open up the star to your soul. And now you see what we have, right? Now we're in this diamond dimension. And as you can see, the fourth dimension is of your nature spirits. Let's blow this up, right? So you can see all of these center points being activated on the body. And notice how the earth is your foundation. When you dodge all hijacks, right? You anchor on to the crystalline grid of Mama, right? Mama Earth. And we're digging on current magnetic ley lines. And to our good bro, our Tawab Ak, that is Yosef. Alright? So, as you see, surfing the wave, we're building on dimensions, which the fourth dimension is your natural spirit, your natural being. Okay? And this is how we develop our vehicle of ascension, which then can help transcend into multiple dimensions. And this is just for those surfing the wave as we get into this path of enlightenment, because not everybody wants to be able to travel to multiple dimensions, even though technically when you fall asleep this happens anyways. But you know, not everyone wants to be open to this knowledge or to this interaction, this possibility. This could frighten you, you know? So this is for the ones who aren't scared. This is for the ones ready to surf the wave on deck, because they on this ether bus. And we out of here, baby. Max A-Hop. Everyone surfing a wave right about now. You know what I'm saying? Because when you understand this, well, we're right back to realizing this tree of life, right? And how this tree of life is within the so-called body, the temple. And this is what they mean. I also want you to keep in mind, though, when we're digging on this Kabbalah, like I said, they cap you off at the 12th, right? The 12th dimension. And this is where we start to get into the whole cellular lockdown, right? The Earth being a prison planet. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand how people felt this way. Like, how can Earth be a prison planet? It was not registering to me until I understood this tree of life. And then I realized that they're purposefully cutting off the ascension. Okay, they're capping you at 12, and they're not allowing you to move on past that, right? You got to get to that powwow by dodging the hijack, surfing the wave. It's not until you surf the wave then you realize there are onward and onward of dimensions, man. And this leads us right back to Hawaii. But you have some warlocks, some dangerous wizards who wish to keep you in light code lockdown. And that's what we're talking about, this light code lockdown. They only want to cap you at the 12th spot. We're going to take you higher than that, right? Because Natural told you he's a warrior for the Shabbat. Hawa, Hawa. Alright, because when we're talking about this tree of life, remember how we were digging on the cones, right? Well, now we're talking about portals and stargates. And keep in mind what I've been telling you, Aquas. I've been personally telling you, Aquas, just what? You've been surfing the wave with me for quite some time now, right? It's been a little over a month of consistent drop. And I've been telling you that you are the portals. So let's connect now. It says when stargates and portals activate, the counter-rotating current magnetic spiral pair merges to form a Merkaba vehicle. Its center becomes a form constant. You see how we're talking this constant? It becomes a form constant still point that links various space-time locations directly to each other, creating a trans-time bridge. And that's what this is. Okay, so earlier we were getting it, reversed, the air was on top and this represented the matter or the earth, and that was at the bottom. All right, but still we're talking the same thing. It says the vertical axis spiral pairs form the stargates of the dimensional lock system, which permit passage between space-time locations in multiple universes and density levels. Okay, so now peep what's going on with the cones, right? As the cones begin to become one in dimension, they create multiple dimensions, multiple pockets of time, multiple directions of travel. It says horizontal and diagonal axis spiral pairs form the portals of the time portal system, which permit passage between space-time locations in one universe and one density level. You know, this is why, you know, in all of these drops, you know, as of recent, we've been speaking on so-called time travel, this so-called Superman is Black Kal-El, you know, DC, Marvel. We've been building on all of these things lately because a lot of this has to deal with the science of you and you returning to exactly who you are as a star seed, as a star being, as a primordial one. All right? Because we're talking about how to form your Merkaba vehicle. And when you're digging on your Merkaba vehicle, well, you return into your heart and you relearn the creation process and remember who you are. See what's going on? It says this Merkaba activation through sacred geometry and the creation process, leading you into higher realms of unity consciousness and Ahab. And a lot of people tend to take this as a universal love, right? Again, they try to globalize everything because that is the wave of this New Testament. And this New Testament represents a new age of teaching when referring to the spirituality. But in actuality, this Ahab, this love, is really supposed to be the recognition of self. And only when you're able to recognize self, when you're in the recognition of self, can you truly love another. Can you truly Ahab another? Without that, it's all empty. It's all stagnant wata. Okay, just still wata. All right. When we're digging on this Merkaba, well, we're talking about the Merkaba of oneness, right? You being at one with yourself. Let's see what this is rapping about, right? It says, based upon the geometry of the gate of Gra, the Merkaba of oneness sacred geometry works with the life force structures found in the human body. When it spins, vortex-induced vibrations interact with the body's meridians in a way that acupuncture or light diodes cannot. Because the Merkaba of oneness is an intention machine, it does more than move energy. Wellness depends on more than just energy. The spirit, mind, emotions, and cells themselves have shown to be carriers of consciousness, thus interacting with what we call the power of intent. I keep telling you about this powwow, right? It says because the vortex-induced vibrations can interact with any of the four bodies, carrying with it the directions of intention. The Merkaba of oneness can be used in a multi-purpose fashion to restore all of the bodies to their natural state. And if you got the drop, the last drop we did, you know exactly where I was resonating, because I told the tribe, right? I told the Shabbatah where I was resonating, in what sequence. Out of sight, out of mind. You know what I'm saying? We're really digging on this build. So we're talking this Merkaba of oneness, this returning to the natural body, the restoration of your natural body. And that is through the mem, that is through the memory. Remembering that you are a wave, a great wave. And as this great wave, we are a great Shabbatah. Keep in mind that the Shabbatah is also a part of the multitude. And the multitude was of this tumultuous crowd that is seeking to press, and that this pressing from this multitude was seen as strange. Therefore, the multitude was seen as strangers, and these strangers were seen as enemies. Okay, enemies that were with the host, the Lord of hosts, who happens to host this multitude. So we're gonna go ahead and get into some examples of this Merkaba. Ahab to everyone surfing the wave. Shalom. Alright, so we're gonna get example on this activation. Huh? Next one. Ahab. Alright, we gonna get another one. Ahab. Carry on, Shabbat. Max Ahab. Now, so you can notice the dimensional switch in this one. It's like a mirror, right? And the image is replicated in every pocket of dimension. And this is what I'm talking about. You are the image of Hawa. You are the image of Hawa. wants to hijack us right here, but y'all get where we were going with it. Right. Not sure why it's jamming us up all of a sudden. Right where we needed for it to do what it does, but it's cool. See, we're giving you examples of how this is a personal reflection. Alright, we're going to continue on. Max Tawada. So it says the fluidity of the universe brings us into a space of quantum equilibrium as one twist blends with another. The natural flow always leads to each and every soul back to the start, the center. Now, this sounds a lot like the anion, right? The twisting and the blending, the braiding, which I was letting you know was the natural flow. All right, so if you got that live drop, this is exactly what we were referencing, right? It says the natural flow always leads each and every soul back to the start, the center. All right. We're just talking about your primordial source, because keep in mind the chakras were your centers, right? So we're talking about your center points. Okay, so as we further break this down and we're digging on the science behind this Merkaba, well, what we're really talking about, again, right? We see the cone, the triangular cone activity. Okay? Now keep in mind how you got one cone going down and you have another cone going up. And this is just exactly how we were looking at it, right? But if you take this 12 tree chart, whatever this would be, right, diagram, you can see that when you're in your Merkaba, you are able to transcend higher than this 12. And this is why this type of info is so slept on, right? And they don't want people really to figure out, because you start tapping into this inner crystal spiral. Now remember, I kept telling you that I was going to go left, right? And this is what I meant by going left. You see how this crystal spiral, it's going to take you out of this 12th dimension. If you spiral the right way, it'll take you out of the 12, right? It'll get you out of here. And that's the whole goal, right? Is to get out of the trap 12 grid set. They've hit us with a light code lockdown of 12 dimensions. Okay? When we're really digging on the math behind this, we're talking actual dimensions. They were talking about quantum, all right? So now we're digging on high math. And if you're digging on high math, well, the easiest way to express a mathematical equation is through symbols. And usually the symbols of these dimensions replicate or project the meaning behind this math, or it sums up the meaning behind this math or of this math. All right. Now we're talking the triangle gender, because keep in mind, these are polarities, energy points, masculine, feminine, feminine, masculine. Surfing the wave with the Zep Tepi, we're touching on this, right? So see, this is what I'm bringing to your attention right now. All right, you see these at the bottom. All right, keep these in mind, because this is back to that tetrahedron that was in the box from the last drop. Okay, carrying forward, what are we digging on? Right? It says connection to the monadic level of divinity, ascension, connection to the cosmos. So this 12th chakra is the connection to this ascension, which is why it's only capped off at 12, because they don't want you to ascend. Right? But when you surf the wave, you see how we're building? Now peep this, look at the spiral action. Pay attention to the spiral action. Okay, so we're building on all of this to create this vehicle of ascension. And now we're getting right back to what we were developing on in the beginning. Keep in mind, we're just building on frequency and charge. Simply vibration. And this is what happens when you KTC, because you have to KTC. That makes you observing. When you KTC, it makes you the observer. And when you're observing the code, well, you begin to transmutate the code into MHOE. And when you transmutate the code into MHOE, you activate this powwow, this charge. All right. Now we're digging on chakras, right? It says the chakras are energy centers of spiritual power located within the body. Becoming aware of your chakras can help you to relax, improve your health, and reach your fullest potential. Each chakra has its own powers that benefit you, and you can do specific exercises to improve the flow of energy through that chakra. Alright, so just pay attention. Alright, and we're dodging these alchemical serpents into that Dracon. We want the alchemical Dracon. Alright. Now it says, pay close attention to how others make you feel. It is a direct reflection of their internal energy. Surround yourself with people who leave you feeling recharged. You see what's going on? Who leave you feeling recharged. This is why we want to build up your charge. We care about your frequency and vibration. All right, so we want to increase your feeling of charge. We want to charge you up. Okay? And when you charge up, well, guess what? You get the keys, right? The genetic keys. And that leads to your activation, your DNA activation, your so-called DEA activation. Whatever wave you surfing, it's activating. All right, so here we have from shadow frequency onto the gift, onto the city. And we've been dealing with this shadow, you know what I'm saying? So if you go back and surf the drop, we're talking about this shadow, because everything dealing with this is the realization. And I just been surfing a wave on the realization that we are the image of Hawaii. All right. It says, as you activate your DNA by changing your attitudes and behavior, you will activate the gift underneath the shadow frequency that is keeping your DNA gift dormant. As you go through the process of contemplation to help you move forward from the shadow frequency to the gift, your aura will start to grow and bring you into a deeper harmony with the greater rhythms of the cosmos. And this in turn produces potent manifestations in your life. And this is exactly the way we've been surfing recently. You know what I'm saying? Natural's been bringing you this charge exactly. Because you got the keys to the magic ether bus right now. And we are surfing the wave on a wonderful journey. Alright, because like I told you, that grid of the Kabbalah wants to cap you off at 12, right? So if chakras 1 through 7 are dimensional, that means they're prematurely preventing you from maxing out this 4th dimension. And this is the problem, right? Most are stuck in the 4th dimension because they can't get past the 12th. they won't allow you past the 12th. But if you go past the 12th, you got 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and so on. And when you tap into this 16 to 22, well, now you're in the 5th dimensional. You know what I'm saying? But it takes balance, right? It takes foundation. You have to be able to see clearly. You have to seek this resonance diligently. You have to call on Hawa for this clarification, so that this great spirit can once again breathe the life of clarity right back onto you. Especially as you begin to remember. This is all for your memory. Alright? And as you remember, well, you start to see these sounds. Alright? And these sounds or octaves are the vibrations. Watch. Look. See what's going on? So here we're talking about keys, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. Alright? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. We're talking about the original tone, the original frequency, vibration. And you see what's happening? Pay attention to the colors. This is a language. Alright? This is a language. You see this little Metatronic reality? You know what I'm saying? Dimensional wavelengths. Now we're talking multi-dimensional activity. And I know you see this crystal spiral time wave. Now again, they talk Fibonacci sequence on this, right? They talk crystal spiral time wave on this. But they actually have a counterfeit version of both of those. And this is why you see people like Elon Musk and the types still supporting the Fibonacci sequence. You got to keep that in mind, right? All the hijacks still support the Fibonacci sequence. They'll tell you about 369, but they won't tell you about getting past the 12. See, everyone has you capped off on this tree of Kabbalah. But our big cedars, they used to touch the skies, man. Our big cedars touch the ground all the way to the skies. So there is no 12 grid tree limiting us. We go above the barrier, Hawa, Hawa. And we gonna surf past the firmament. You see what's going on? So when you realize we're talking about sound, right? Well, that brings us right back to this so-called Big Bang. And what did we get in part 1? Right? The oscillating sound, right? The sound says the body is held together by sound. The presence of dis-ease indicates that some sounds have gone out of tune. And this is your switching, right? Your detuning of 432 into 440. So when we reverse the curse and we apply that 432 back over the 440, well, we begin to rid our bodies of this dis-ease, and we begin to ease into the natural flow, building on that sound, that charge that is the breath. Hawa. See what's going on? Because this is all divine order, natural by law. Alright? So we start with the sound, the field of resonance, okay? And we jump into the current. We dodge the hijack with electric and we jump into the current, right? And we up that wave into the magnetic. And then once we synthesize this magnetic field, well, we begin to build on thought, right? The thought, the idea, the image. And then once that resonates, it sets place in the mind. And you're able to imagine the image. And when you imagine the image, well, you can see the image. And when you see the image, you are able to will that image into reality. And when you will that image into reality, well, then you develop a soul. okay? And then you become the vibration or the reflection of this soul. You see what's happening? We're still talking music. A true classification of powers and forces operating in sound. HWH spoke with marvelous sound and music. And that sound and music through the rhythm and vibration gave you a charge, a frequency. That was you. All right? That was you. Because when we're digging on this sound, this music, it is the evolutionary progressive unfoldment of the soul entity from the first protoplasmic cell to the Elohimian state. This is how you know Natural's not playing with you, right? Because we're building back on that. And Natural's been telling you that these angels of HWH have been transferring a message onto me so that I can transfer this message right back to the tribe, the Shabbatah. And it's a wonderful flow. It's an AHA flow. Because as we were talking about in the last joint, right? In the Bronze Age, we were talking about this mineral and how this mineral had consciousness, right? Well, the mineral is just one step down from the vegetable. That vegetable is just one step down from the animal. The animal is a few steps down from man. Man is quite some steps down from spirit. Spirit is quite some steps down from angel. Angel's a step or two down from archangel. These archons. And then from there you have your class of Elohim. And that is the multiple, the council. Alright, you see what's going on? We're talking about the macrocosmic scale of vibration. The true evolution. We're talking about you. We've been digging on this protoplasm, the protoplasmic cell. We know what the plasma is. Get part 2. We're talking about this plasma, right? Yeah. So see, you see the charge right in front of you. And we're right back to this. Because we never stopped talking about it. This is your vehicle of ascension. This is your charge up. This is how you build up. We're just surfing the wave through the ether. This was the charge we had on the live, right? But because it was live, I wasn't able to, put it to you like this. And that was such a great vibe, I had to do it one time. But with the sounds correctly this time. So you see what we're talking about, man? We're really digging on your Abba and Amma flow. That's what each triangle represents. Amma and Abba. See, they're gonna tell you about a so-called Trinity, right? And the true Trinity is the nuclear family, being mom, dad, dad, mom, mom, dad, dad, mom, mom, dad, dad, mom, and then the star child. Okay, the star child being the third. That is the true Trinity. Okay, 1 + 1 = 3. You see what's happening? 1 + 1 = 3. So we're talking about this charge, and this is replicated in any and everything, because we're talking about your masculine, the line, the lineage, and then we're talking about your feminine, which is the 9, the portal. So these two have to come together in balance to create that charge, and that charge is the star child, and that is you, Shabbatah, the star child. All right. Because when we're talking about this star child, well, guess what? Now we're talking about your auric level, your aura, right? And your Hova body. Now keep in mind, we're talking about this Hova body being God body. Now how crazy is this? Because we're starting to get this diagram all over again, but we're going past the 12. You see how we're at the MC14 right now? So something happened. We jumped straight past that 12 tree grid, that grid of 12 portals, right? It says chakras draw energy in from and transmit energy into the unified fields of each dimension. Each chakra carries as its primary color the hue associated with the wavelength of the dimensional frequency band to which the chakra corresponds. Okay, each chakra corresponds to a level of the auric field and one atonal line. Each Hova body corresponds to a set of 3 chakras and contains 3 dimensionalized frequency bands that form the dimensionalized levels of the auric field. And here we have the different levels of the chakras as well as the colors. Alright, so if you line them up, they'll tell you what each one represents. So see how we're at 15, universal 2. And this is where I want to direct you, because this is where we're on our way to. This age of Aquarius, this age of Wata, is just to usher you onto this level 2, this NC 15. Some might say that this is your flood, your deluge, right? This age of Wata is bringing the flood. And this flood is the confirmation. So you see what's going on, right? UKTC MHOE, and this activates your Hova body, your God body correspondence. We're tapping back into that natural body. You are the image of Hawa. Alright? Because we're cooking right now. We're getting serious on the high jag. Now, keep in mind, we were building on that Ahab, right? And I told you, Ahab was a different frequency than love. Okay? Love was sold to us. But Ahab, we were born with that. It is innate. It is natural. And we have the masculine frequency that represents the fire, the air, the fire, the air. And we see the symbol represented by it, right? Then we have the feminine. And that feminine is the earth and the Wata. The earth and the Wata. Now, when you look at the two, the earth being the physical molding, the matrix, the Wata being the spiritual emotion, the emotional stage. These two go hand in hand with our aquas, with the aquas. You see, aqua, it's really talking about you entirely, right? Because you are the Ama, you are the manifestation of this earth. And with that, through the portal, through the passage, through the sojourning, through the journey, through the traveling, the navigations of the void that is the Wata of the deep, right? When you're holding child, that star child for the 9 months, it is all Wata. That is the face of the deep. So when you combine the masculine, which brings that fire, that air, which is really the soul, the spirit, the seed, you implant the seed into the earth and let it gestate in this Wata, developing the charge, and you get what is referred to as the unity, right? And they call this unity the divine fire Wata. The divine fire Wata. Now Now for all my engines, my anions, for all my anions, my indigenous autochtons, my original aboriginal, those of the beginning, the origin. We're just talking the Indians of India Superior. When we're talking this unity, this anion, we get fire wata. Fire wata. We get fire wata. Divine fire wata. You see what's going on? And that is the masculine and the feminine coming together to create this tetrahedron, which is the star child. And then within this coming together, within this union, this anion, we get a multifaceted dimensional vehicle. And this is our Merkaba. See, this ancient sacred energy is divine in our power of creativity. And they call our power of creativity sexual energy. We got to learn how to harness and correctly use this energy, because it's a force. It's a real force, right? You know what they can do with an atom. One single splitting of an atom, and it does what? Huh? Well, we gonna rise. We gonna rise. So we already understand that we got this, right? Tide surfing. Okay, so now that we got that clear, what we're going to highlight now, for those who remember the drop, right? I brought this drop to the tribe some years back, especially when we were doing our drops on 432thedrop.com, right? This is The Right Use of Will. Who remembers that book? The Right Use of Will. Go back and surf the wave. We're talking the Lumerians, right? Black Body Radiation Part 1. We're talking about the right use of will. Now this is that symbol. Okay, now pay attention to everything that's being said right here. Pay attention, because this is, you know what I'm saying? This is the wave we've been surfing for some years. And I've been bringing this to the real one's attention. Because these two hearts, again, it's the same thing, right? Look at the dimensions they produce. It's still in here. Now, remember when we were talking about the love chakra? You see how this is the so-called HWH chakra, dead smack in the center? The HWH chakra, dead smack in the center? And this so-called symbol of the heart? Pay attention. We ain't talking about no kind of crayon colors tonight. Whenever it is that you get this, we're talking all spirit and soul. We're talking strictly image of Hawaii. All right. So here we're talking about the current. They're calling it electrical, but we know this is the current. Okay, so the current charge, the charge of current, which rotates clockwise. It represents the white hole of the vortex. Okay, now keep in mind, we keep speaking of the aquas. Okay, aquas, so look, notice how we're talking about the black hole, it being a portal, right? Notice how it's magnetic like aqua, like ama, like ma, right? Anytime you see the MA in front, you know this is directly aqua energy. Anytime you see an MA, ma, you know this is aqua energy. Okay? So you put these two together and you create this fusion, right? And then you get this. You get one Merkaba field, aka the star seed, a set of two Merkaba spirals, the black-white hole pair. You see what's going on? So this is the fusing, And I'm so innate, so in touch with this as a Gemini, because you know what they say about us Geminis, right? We are the duality, the twins. The right, the left side, the left, the right side. We are the fusion. And one is able to bring unison within oneself. Well, you get something or someone that sounds or looks like me. Aware of the masculine, the feminine principle of life within myself. All right. And because I recognize this within myself, well, this isn't so strange. This is the true nature. This is the rising. This is the awakening. Me as a masculine, recognizing the feminine energies within inside of me. That's what led me to that wisdom. That's what led me back to Amma. And then when I got back to Amma, I broke down and gave Amma thanks in front of Abba, because now I was able to recognize where that wisdom, where that Shekinah was coming from. And it wasn't from, you know, me reading books and being head-wise and knowing what's going on. And no, this came from the wata, the emotion. Okay, and this emotion had to be recognized, and this is coming from that feminine. So when I'm able to combine, well, the wata, there is no limit. There is no limit to the wata anymore. All right. I'm trying to get this right. I had it right and I messed it up right now. All right, I think it says the Merkaba vehicle is a transient, not permanent, but a transient Merkabic structure of interwoven, spiraling electro or current magnetic fields that when activated allows for molecular cohesion of the physically manifest atomic body structure during Stargate travel and Ascension. This atomic body, and this is what I was telling you, right? This is what Natural said that he was connected to in the last drop, in the last presentation. This is what we were building on. Okay? So just to go ahead and show you, we're going to dive into what this fire wata actually is. This fire wata, all right? And this is for the cons that surfed that live with me, man. Max Tawada for y'all. Much A-Hop. Y'all don't understand how much that meant, man. Y'all are some real ones, some true warriors. Y'all surfed away with me 5 hours strong, Shabata. And I got nothing but A-Ha for y'all. So this is for you. Strictly for you. Shalom. Alright, so digging on this fire wata, right? Well, look at where it brought me, surfing the wave. It says this is the visual program of the first civilizations in the Americas. Now, isn't that crazy? This divine fire water brought me to the first civilizations of the Americas. So this ancient frequency, this ancient energy that we're building on actually comes from the Americas. I mean, let's dig on it, right? We see what's going on. Let's look at the patterns. We're gonna surf the wave on this drop, because now where are we surfing, right? Where are we going? Let's peep it. It says the sky water bicephalic bird serpent and Pan-Amerindian cosmology. Again, we gotta really surf the wave on this bird serpent, right? Because how many bird serpents do you know of? It says Pan-American cosmology, twisted as a metaphor for divine fire-water connections. Now let's pay attention. Divine fire-water connections and transformation. The igneous aquatic paradigm. And our good bro, Yosef, was telling us about these igneous rocks, right? He was telling us about these igneous rocks. Now it says the symbolic world of the water magician involved a pragmatic relationship to the sun-water cycle that ensured the enduring quality of life. And so it is no surprise that the magician's symbolic narwhals of the bird, feline, and serpent that connected the realms showed up everywhere in mortuary goods. Now notice how they always got the drop on your indigenous antiques, right? And notice how they're talking serpent, but this looks like a dracon. When you looking at the image of this, no snake looks like this. Ain't no snakes looking like this. This looks like a dracon, especially with the eyes. So you gotta watch how they twist it, because they hide your energy behind this serpent, right? So we see they're talking about some serpents right here. This is a trip. It says the gold dangler suspended by gold wire would have moved with the sacred breath of the regal owner, catching the light to create a light water. This is a clue that the space around a ruler was perceived as being charged with their power. And Natural's been telling you about this powwow, right? Natural's been telling you about this powwow. Let's continue to surf the wave. What else do we got? Wow. We got some drop, right? Man, look at all this. They still talking double-headed serpents. Okay, so we kind of saw that those serpents look like dracons. Furthermore, they're talking about this feline bird creature. Okay. It says the igneous represents volcanic stone and fire. It represents volcanic stone and fire, which is associated with the archetype of the jaguar sun. Alright? It's a whole lot of wata, man. We'll make sure to do our due diligence and come back and break this down. Oh, look, now they're talking a little Quetzalcoatl. So is this the serpent that they're talking about? Okay. So we're for sure talking about dracons now, right? The bird serpent, Quetzalcoatl, right? Feathered appearance of the bird serpent, sky wata. So we're talking about light, right? Etherians. We've been surfing the wave. Let's continue, right? So now we're talking about this fire wata. I'm trying to see if they'll give us anything specific on this fire wata. So let's see if we can find something like that. Now this is a trip. Look at all this drip. What is going on here? What is this talking about? Crazy. We'll definitely come back and get some reading on this. But look at what we're digging on, right? Okay, so we're trying to see if we can get some of this fire wata. Right, this fire wata. Let's see if we can get any of this fire wata. Wow. The creative fire representing the radiant light, the heat. Right? It's still talking about this igneous rock. Crazy. So this is lining up exactly where we left off from our last drop. I'm not gonna lie, this this cosmic navel, this talking about the ancestral mountain or cave with the emergence of a ruling lineage, right? A ruling lineage. It says that cosmogonic fact was symbolized by a quadripartite symbol, the Khan or the Khan cross, the Khan cross, the cross of the Khans. I mean, look, man, you see this Wata we flowing into? The cross of the Khans, Shabbat. We really talking America, the first world, right? Because now we're talking about the American cross. I'm still searching for this Fire Wata connection. It's so much dropping here. You know, it's making me, oh man, I mean, we might have to come back and get this. Wow. It's just so much, and I still haven't found nothing yet dealing directly with this Fire Wata. But it's definitely an ancient connection to this America flow, right? So we'll have to come back to this Shabata, and we will get this in drops to come. Wow. This is an amazing sight. Like, this is a trip. Okay, so I thought we was gonna get like some concrete direct evidence on what this Fire Wata was from the American build, but unfortunately the way this drop was designed, it wasn't to read all of that. Not in this sitting, but we will continue. Okay, I want to go ahead and take a look at these crosses though, so let's take a dive into that. Shalom. All right, so here we got that the Khans had crosses, right? And it said the cross of the Khans. And we know that this cross, this ancient symbol of America, has been hijacked by so-called Christians and its religions. But this is in actuality a very ancient symbol of America. And it has a connection to this divine Fire Wata. This is the Tao, right? This is your ancient representation of your Tao. This Tau is the X, and that X represents the marked spot. We know what the mark means, right? The sign, the signal, the signifying. I mean, we're just talking about your ancient anion. You see what's happening? So they hijack your ancient symbols and take them across the pond, and they build up a hijack over there that further down the line leads to your switcheroo. Because to be honest, they don't want you remembering that you had this type of powwow, right? Because this type of powwow is what put them in servitude in the first place. And they'll be damned if they see you get that powwow back to try to attempt to do the same thing again, right? This is why they gatekeep. This is why they gatekeep the knowledge. To box you in, to limit the powwow. Because this is heavy. Right? Realizing this is heavy. Because when you realize that the ether is from the Latin aether, the Greek aether, and aetheian, meaning to ignite, blaze, that is also akin to the Old English word odd, translated as pyre. So So when you see this odd, right, as in Adam, the odd am. So this technically means the fireman, right? If odd is translated as pyre, pyre being the flame, the fire, the am, as in I am, signifying the man or the being. Well, this would be the fire being, the fireman, as in Adam, right? Odd, the fire, am, being. Adam, the fire being, the fireman, the fire womb man. When we're talking about the so-called fireman, the Etherian, he or she who is channeled with that fire, you know what I'm saying? Well, it gets really interesting. Right? Because we're just breathing that powwow on you. And furthermore, we're talking that divine fire water. You see what's happening? That divine fire water. Now, how come the flame is not being put out by the fire? The flame exists on top of the fire. This is what we're talking about. Because when we're surfing a wave on this fire water, well, according to alchemy, we get this term called Azoth. All right? Azoth or Azoth. And they say that Azoth is the name ancient alchemists gave to Mercury, which they believe was the animating spirit in all matter. When you dodging all hijacks, we're going to surf the wave. It says Azoth was thought to be the essential agent of transformation and the first principle of metals. Azoth was also known as the stone of the wise man or the philosopher's stone. Alright? It says also in the game New World. Now this is interesting. This Azoth is in the so-called New World, which is really the old world, right? As we just saw. It says Azoth is the mineral with magical properties that can be used as currency. Again, we're talking this current charge, right? Currency, current, surf the wave. Azoth can be used to increase the power of bonuses, respect, a weapons mastery, tree, or fast travel. Azoth is believed to build and collect in various points in the universe, especially where life is abundant. And this is according to this new game, right? This game, New World. Alright? This Azoth. It has connections to this fire water. Right? Now we see right here in the caption, it says the Azoth series of Basil Valentine, the Hermetic Studies. You see the Dracon, right? And they're standing on top of this Dracon. You see what's going on? Notice how it's always a dragon at the bottom, right? Letting you know where the power is derived from, where the ancient connection is derived from. Keep in mind, when we blow this up, we see how they're talking about a natural light. A natural light. Alright? They're talking about transmute into gold. So we're looking at your natural light. Right? We're looking at your natural light. Surf the wave. I'm talking about your Azoth, right? Now when we dig on this Azoth, it said that it can be found in the biblical text, where it means this, her, thus, there, or thus, herein, the same, herewith, that, such. What tripped me out is this her, right? Because I was letting you know about the recognition of this feminine power inside all of us. And it's having to deal with this Azoth, this Shekinah. saying that it's an irregular feminine or feminine of this word. Okay, and when we get that, it's just okay, but dealing with this Azoth is still dealing with a she. It's dealing with this feminine energy to it. Alright, and then it's used in the text in Genesis chapter 2 verse 23, where Adam said this. Okay, this Zoth, and he's talking about this Zoth, is now of my bones and flesh of my flesh, she. So again, this Azoth or this Azoth shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Now keep this in mind, right? Keep this in mind, because this Azoth, whatever they're referring to it as, is a divine powwow. And again, we're talking about this fire water. Okay, so because we're digging on this fire water, I was like, is there anything else we can get? Because in the script, those who compiled the scripts the way they are today are still trying to hide. Okay, but the ancestors is giving us clues by letting us know this is a feminine energy. Okay, so surfing the wave on this Azoth, it led me to this Ascension glossary. And every time we get up in here, it get a little bit magnificent. It get a little bit marvelous. So it says Azoth, right? Azoth, the name given by ancient alchemists as the essential agent in alchemical transformation of elements, was the Azoth, or Azoth, known as the prima materia, universal cure, and elixir of life. And this reminds me of the bro Yosef, right? When we're talking about that mem sauce. This reminds me of Yosef and that mem, right? This elixir of life. We're talking fountain of youth. This land of medicinal healing. It says the Azoth was said to embody all medicines. You see what's going on? It is the first creation principle that includes all other substances and elements. Azoth is related to the Kabbalist Ein Sof, right? Ein Sof. But keep in mind, these Kabbalists actually hijack your tree of life grid, capping you at 12 center points when we know we have access to at least 15 right now. It says the infinite substance of divine origin that created all existence. All right. The Kilputh is the negative form shell and imposter spirit or negative force of the Sephiroth. In its negative form polarity, the Dark Mother is what animated life life into the fallen Azazel hierarchies that were manifested in the underworld realms. Now we were digging on that underworld realm earlier, right? It's very interesting how this is all connected. So out of this Dark Mother, and this goes for, all the Aquas thinking that just because you're jumping on this magic and you're tuning in to this frequency of wokeness, right, to be awake and finally start to claim back your feminine energy. You don't want to get lost in the sauce and drift into this Dark Mother, okay? Because we were asking, who's this Dark Mother? And as you'll see, this Dark Mother is the faction behind this artificial intelligence. And this is where we start to get back into Shalom, hold on. Alright, excuse me, tribe. I have to fix that. But it leads you back to this what they refer to as the mother goddess, right? That mother goddess. So you gotta stay pure water. Alright. It says, as these fallen entities attempted to perform the cosmic sacred alchemy, they misuse the divine fire water of the prima materia, the Azoth. The divine fire water is androgynous, dodge all hijacks, right? And split into the solar fire, and the water became the lunar water of the astral planes. So we started out with this astral plane, and now they're saying that this fire water is the lunar water, or the waters that you are able to travel. Okay, now peep this. Okay, now pay attention to what's going on, right? We're surfing a deep wave, and they're talking about the crystal star of Azoth. All right. It says the 6-pointed star of David is a light symbol code. It says geomantic codes are energy wave guides that direct the focus of energetic spectrum within each dimension as designed per the blueprint. Each dimension has many layers of geomantic coding, with usually a primary station of code and multiple subsidiary codes, and so forth. So this light symbol code, this code, right, you download when you KTC. And when you MHOE those codes, well, it says that this represents the first cause of sound frequencies unifying function of the Holy Mother's quintessence, the pure divine fire water within the alchemy of the Shekinah, the sacred animating force which controls the essence of organic and internal life, the Azoth or Azoth. And then it connects us down to the Platonic solids. And we're right back to the ether. You see what's happening? You see what we just did? Huh? Surfing the wave with the real ones. Alright? So surfing the wave with the real ones. Well, we were digging on this Azoth, right? And now we understand that this is our powwow, right? And they say that this is the Azoth right here. Now pay attention, because it's a bird and a lion. And if you didn't get the last drop, you have no idea what's going on, right? But check out this dragon lion. Now pay attention to this dragon lion. Normally they have you looking at the serpent eating his own tail, but these are two different types of serpents, and the lion's eating the so-called bird, or the bird so-called in the mouth of the lion, and they're entangled. Notice how the sun and the moon, so these are polarizing energies, dominant forces of energies that have taken over this Azoth, this Azoth. Okay? And we're untangling this. We're actually beginning to separate them to begin a new unification, a new merging. And that is the balance, the understanding between Aqua and Ak, and realizing that we are complements of one another, so that we can get back to this divine fire water as a pair, a fusion. It says Azoth, or the star in the east. Now remember how we started off, right, with that star beaming down, and I was telling you about these stars being your powwow. And Natural's been telling you these stars have been your powwow, right? So let's go ahead and surf the wave on this example. We're gonna finish strong. Shabbat Shalom to the home team. This is just another marvelous charge on the ether bus, and I'm magnified right now. I hope you are. Let's get to this Wata. Aha. Hawa.
Which is Arabic for Allah, God.
And it corresponds directly to the Hebrew El, which means the same thing, God. Chem has different roots that all apply. I told you already that in Greek, chemia means to fuse or cast a metal. And most people have heard that alchemy is about transmuting lead into gold, or transforming impure metals into purified metals. But at the same time, chem is also from Egyptian.
And you're going to have to dodge the hijack on this. Aha to the caramel fire, clearing the air years ago. You know what I'm saying? On this land of the blacks, hijack. But we're going to go ahead and surf the wave. Just dodge your own hijack.
That is the old Egyptian name for Egypt, Chem. And that translated literally in ancient Egyptian means the black earth. So in the first lecture of this series about alchemy, we talked about the four elements. And we discussed that the earth is our body. It is matter. Physical matter here physically. And in the internal worlds, the matter of those worlds. Our earth, our body, our self, we could say, is blackened, impure, filled with suffering.
Keep in mind, dodge the hijack on this vibration as well, okay? Because we've been reversing the curse this whole time. Alright, so we understand that there's more powwow to this black, to this so-called darkness. Alright, so don't get lost in the sauce.
Impure, filled with suffering, filled with anger and lust and pride and envy and all the other problems that we have. So the term alchemy, alchemia, really is about the relationship between El and Chem, the black earth and God. And our goal is to fuse them. But for that to happen, our earth, ourselves, needs to become pure. So this is why alchemy describes in all of its images and scriptures processes of purification, using many different types of terms and symbols and images. Processes, allegories, metaphors, symbolic mysteries that describe the process of being purified. That purification is not simply physical. It's on every level. Our physical body really is not that important. The physical body is impermanent, temporary. We don't know how long we have it. We need to take care of it and use it well, but really, we've had many bodies already. We will have more, hopefully, if we earn it. So what matters more is what inhabits the body, which is our psyche. That is also our earth, alchemically speaking. It is that part of us that's here in a physical earth, but that also needs to be purified. So in the previous lectures, we described for you how this process of purification is represented in many ways. So this first image shows some of those alchemical drawings that illustrate or symbolize the process of psychological purification that we need, the process of cleaning our psyche. And we described for you how through an intimate self-observation, through self-knowledge, we start to see and deal with the causes of our suffering. And those causes are inside of us. Those causes are in our mind, they're in our heart, and they're in our body. But the most important ones are in our heart and mind. Bodies come and go. So these images, as I explained them in the previous lecture, are about that process of psychological purification. How we clean ourselves in order to liberate the trapped energy. So today we're going to go deeper into this matter. Samael and Vior told us that there are 4 primary elements in alchemy. We already talked about the 4 elements: air, fire, water.
It's a trip because he said that. It made me think of the so-called Khan cross, the Khan cross, right? And that's representing your 4 winds as well as your 4 elements, okay? Keep that in mind because it is your ancient symbol. It is your ancient symbol of America that they hijacked and took over there. But we're just talking your basic elements.
Psychological purification. How we clean ourselves in order to liberate the trapped energy. So today we're going to go deeper into this matter. Samael and Vior told us that there are 4 primary elements in alchemy. We already talked about the 4 elements: air, fire, water, and earth. Those 4 elements constitute everything, but they aren't the only way to look at things. In alchemy, we talk about 4 elements as well, in a different way. We talk about salt, mercury, sulfur, and azoth. These 4 alchemical elements are made of the 4 elements: air, fire, water, and earth. They don't equate each other directly, one for one. Salt has air, fire, water, earth. Mercury has all 4. Sulfur has all 4. And so does azoth. So we can say that these 4 elements, salt, mercury, sulfur, and azoth, are based upon the more subtle elements of air, fire, water, and earth. So Samael told us that the salt is matter. Salt, alchemically, is represented by a circle that has a line directly through the middle. The symbol is quite significant in many ways. You see that symbol is a unity. It is also a duality. It has 2 halves, right? Salt is like that. Salts, if you've ever studied physical chemistry, are polarized. There are what we call masculine salts and feminine salts, physically speaking. But esoterically speaking, we say the same thing. Salt is also polarized. And we see that in any form of matter. So when we talk about alchemy, we talk about salt. We're not talking about table salt, physical salt, the salt you use in your food. Salt in alchemy is something more subtle. It's a symbol, and it represents any kind of matter. Physical matter is salt, alchemically speaking. So our body is salt in alchemy. And that's why Jesus in the gospel said, "Ye are the salt of the earth." And it was an alchemical statement. Our salt, or our body, is this first element. The second element here is mercury. Again, we're not talking about physical mercury. Mercury in the Greek mysteries is the messenger of the gods. His name is Hermes as well. Mercury is also called quicksilver, and it has a very curious property. It is a liquid stone.
All of this can be applied to the so-called Gemini. Keep this in mind. This is what I was saying earlier, okay? These are also attributes to the so-called Gemini. So being that I'm a sun Gemini with my ascendant being Leo, you can get a pretty great imagination on what this mixture really is, right? You combine that level of intellect with this Dracon type, hero warrior type energy, and it gets a bit marvelous, right? It gets a bit marvelous surfing the waves. So let's see, let's get that back right there. Ahab.
Silver. And it has a very curious property. It is a liquid stone. It is a liquid metal. Mercury, if you've ever seen mercury in a thermometer, physically speaking, it has a very unusual property. It's highly receptive to temperature. That's why we use it to measure heat, to measure cold. Because the metal, physically speaking, is very sensitive. It's it has very special properties. It doesn't condense and become solid like other metals. It remains liquid. So there's a reason that in alchemy, that symbol was taken to represent something specific in the esoteric tradition. Paracelsus called it ens seminis. And that's a Latin phrase that means the entity of the sexual energy. Mercury represents the sexual energy. Again, we're not talking just about the physical matter, because that's salt. And seminis is the energy of sexuality. That is the mercury. And it is stated amongst all the ancient alchemists, praise God, because without mercury, there would be no hope. Mercury is the...
Keep in mind, this is also what went into the many different trials of error when it came to these different types of man being created, right? The problem is that these different creations were sterile, and they couldn't get these different, engineering specimens to procreate. That was the problem. To get these entities, these beings to procreate was a function that only happened when the process was done naturally. And that came by way of the creator. So to be able to reproduce and create is a miraculous, a marvelous sign, a miraculous signal of Hawa. Just keep in mind, not everyone can, right? Not everyone can procreate. You're favored if you do. Some might argue the opposite if they don't. Surfing the wave.
Key of alchemy. Sexual energy is the key. It's easy to see why. It's the most creative, most powerful force that we have access to. It is how we, even being impure, even being unworthy, even being filled with defects and errors and vices and problems, have the power of God to create life. It is the most terrible, tremendous, awesome power that we have. Just physically speaking, we actually can create life. It's an incredible responsibility, just physically, even if you're not talking about spirituality. But when you talk about spirituality, that power is even greater. In the Bible, in Hebrew, life is pronounced chai. Het yod. Life. It is an incredible secret hidden in those letters, which we've been explaining throughout our many lectures and books. So, chai, or life, is hidden in the mercury. Physical life and spiritual life. Right now, we are spiritually dead. This is true. We know it's true because we cannot see God directly. We cannot talk to God directly. We cannot.
And see, this right here is a hijack, right? Because this whole presentation and me bringing this information or this confirmation to you is proving the exact opposite of what's being said. But when your channels aren't streaming and you aren't receiving these codes because you're observing and keeping the code, well, the communication is lost and what would be the word? In static, right? There's no connection, no connection. It's just static. But when you attune yourself and align yourself naturally by KTCing, and then you observe that code and recognize that it's MHOE, well, then you get a different form of communication through that connection. And this is how we're having this build right now with each other. All right. It's literally how we're having this build right now with each other. Shabbat. Through such communication.
Right now, we are spiritually dead. This is true. We know it's true because we cannot see God directly. We cannot talk to God directly. We cannot hear God directly. Our connection to spirit is dead. No life. No chai. And the answer is obvious. Because we abuse the sexual energy. We've wasted it. Not only in this life, but many lives. We don't live in Eden the way Adam and Eve once did. We are out of Eden. Eden, of course, is a Hebrew word that means bliss. To return to Eden, we have to rectify the mistake that sent us out. And that is to learn to work with the tree of knowledge, which is where the mercury is hidden. To learn to work with sexual energy, to see the fruit on the tree, to appreciate the fruit, but not to abuse it. That fruit is sexuality. The third element here is sulfur. Sulfur represents fire. Not just physical fire, but the fire in the body, the fire in the atoms, the fire in every existing thing, the fire of life. There are many kinds of sulfur, not just one kind, but generally speaking, sulfur means fire. So the fourth element here is Azoth. A-Z-O-T-H. Azoth is a very mysterious element. And I say it's mysterious because 99.99999% of humanity has never, ever experienced it.
It's a trip how he's saying that, right? But we're surfing the wave on it right now. So somebody has to be experiencing this powwow because Natural's been talking about it. In fact, Natural has been saying he's going to introduce this powwow to the tribe. So somebody's starting to tap into this powwow. And this is what Natural's been telling you, surfing the wave. It's all happening, right? Because this is meant for you. This is meant for the real ones. Only for the code keepers. That is MHOE. You know what I'm saying?
So we have no idea about Azoth, practically speaking. There are many theories. There are many beliefs about it. There are hundreds and thousands of books about Azoth. But you may be thinking, well, I've been studying religion a long time and I don't remember seeing any books about Azoth. The Hindu or Sanskrit name for Azoth is Kundalini. Kundalini.
And this is what I mean. See, I'm starting to see this Kundalini as the hijack, right? Because this Kundalini is going to keep you trapped on a 12 tree grid. And furthermore, he's talking this Mercury, right, as the so-called sexual energy, which lets me know there's more to this Kundalini popping off than what's being said, which is why that pineal activation through the Kundalini process isn't what most people think that it is. And we'll highlight that in the next one, okay? But this isn't the Kundalini you think it is. And I'm gonna be real, it's quite frightening, especially since you don't know the practices behind this Kundalini through the Kabbalah. It's a reason why they keep the Talmud and they practice it, okay? This Kundalini activation isn't what you think it is. In fact, this activation is the practice of the industry. And you see what's happening to the people practicing this stuff on the outside, meaning everyone knows, right? Listening to these type of parties that's going on in so-called Hollywood. You see why it's a thing to practice this type of energy in Hollywood? Everyone's feeding you this Kundalini energy, but they have no idea on how it really pops off. And if you had an idea, you wouldn't be bragging about no Kundalini activation. Okay? Because they're hiding something within this. If the Kundalini was the Azoth, how come we're not just building on Azoth? How come it has to be masked as Kundalini? Because we just got what Azoth really was. That divine fire wata. That divine fire wata. So what's really to be said about this Kundalini? Surfing the real wave with natural by law. Halahawa.
But you may be thinking, well, I've been studying religion a long time and I don't remember seeing any books about Azoth. The Hindu or Sanskrit name for Azoth is Kundalini. Kundalini is the energy emerging from the first three elements when the conditions are right. When the karma is there, karma meaning cause and effect. If the conditions are established, fire emerges. The same way if you want to light a match, you need the components in order for the flame, the spark, to flare. Kundalini is no different. It is not a physical force. It is in physical matter, but it is an energy that comes far beyond physicality. Azoth, in alchemy, if you read the ancient scriptures, it is the greatest power in the universe. It is the fountain of youth. It is the universal medicine. It is the philosophical stone. It is the great power of the magician. It is the...
And if they keep connecting this Azoth to this philosopher's stone, and the philosopher's stone is also said to be melanin, what do you think is really happening right about now, Shabbat? Natural's been telling you about this powwow. I mean, what do you think is really cooking right now? What do you think we're really cooking right now? Huh, Aqua? What do you think we're really cooking right now? Aqua, you surfing the wave. What do you think was happening right now? Somebody talk to me in this ether. We surfing the wave. What do you think is going on?
It is the fountain of youth. It is the universal medicine. It is the philosophical stone. It is the great power of the magician. It is the universal key or clue, the power wielded by all the great prophets and masters of every great tradition. It has had many names. Azoth in alchemy, Kundalini in yoga and tantra in India, Kandali in tantric Buddhism, Dumo in Tibetan, Okidanok in Gurdjieff's system. It's also called the fire of the Pentecost in the Bible. In the book of Acts, the apostles receive the Holy Spirit and flames emerge from the tops of their heads. That is Azoth.
Whoa, the flames pop You know what that reminded me of, Shabbat? Let's get it real quick in real time, huh? Because he wants to say 99% of the people haven't felt this powwow, but I beg to differ, and I'm going to show you proof. Let's get it. Now, he went ahead and said that this Azoth is the fire on top of the head, right? That's exactly what he said. So when we brought this to your attention in easy, when I told you in easy which direction I was going to go, right? When I showed you that crystal spiral in easy, and I let you know, well, they have no clue what I'm about to do, and we're still surfing the wave on that, because now we're getting an example of this Azoth, right? Y'all see it with me. Naga charge, let's get it. Look, it wants to start hating on me. You see how it's been hating on this? But it's cool. We're gonna make it do what it do. See, we're talking about that ether. The ether phase, man. The ether lit. You see what's going on? Now, he said this was this power of Azoth, and we've been surfing the wave on this power of Azoth. So somebody is starting to tap into it. All right, somebody's starting to tap into it. You see what's going on? I want you to let this set on your mind bone. Because Natural's been telling you that the angels told me about this powwow. And here I am telling you. So let's continue to surf the wave. Should we, Shabbat? It's a tribal flow. We on fire. We are on fire. So if you're on fire with me, if you're on fire with us, just throw some fire emojis in the comment section right about now. Yeah. Just some fire for Khan one time, for a Naga one time, cause them Nagas are back, by way of Hawaii, that is the Most High. You see what's going on? Alright, so we're gonna continue to surf the wave. Let's get it.
In Tibetan, Okidanok in Gurdjieff's system. It's also called the fire of the Pentecost in the Bible. In the book of Acts, the apostles receive the Holy Spirit and flames emerge from the tops of their heads. That is Azoth. That flame gives them the power to heal the sick, to cast out demons, to speak the word of God. That is Azoth. So today we're going to talk about Azoth, what it means really, and how we can experience it. Commonly speaking, if you study the accessible writings of alchemy, or you read on the internet about Azoth, you will see that all of the scholars are saying all the same things, because none of them really know. They only repeat what others have said. So all the scholars and writers have been saying for a long time that the word Azoth comes from the Arabic al-Zawq, which means the mercury. This is true. In Arabic, that does mean the mercury. And Azoth is related to mercury. Azoth is extracted from mercury. But it is not mercury by itself. And this is the mistake. People that don't know what alchemy really is don't understand it. So they only repeat theories and repeat what was written in other books. But they don't know.
And what does natural keep telling you? What does natural keep telling you? Again, this ain't no shot to no one digging on books, but there's a reason why I say these things. We're just surfing a pure water wave. A pure water wave. From Big Amma. That is Shekinah flow.
Don't understand it. So they only repeat theories and repeat what was written in other books. But they don't know in practical experience what it is. So to explain that, let me back up one slide to these four elements again and show you. These four elements, salt, mercury, sulfur, and azoth. I told you that the azoth is extracted from the first three. So really we need to talk about 3 and 1. Salt, mercury, and sulfur. We need to talk about those first. Because for all of us, we don't have azoth yet. It's latent. The potentiality is there. We can develop it, but we don't have it yet.
Somebody got it right now. Otherwise, how are we surfing the wave on this, Jack? If it's not being accessed, how are we surfing the wave on this, Jack? I mean, come on. It's only natural by law, right? Whose law? Hawa, Hawa. This is the cosmic shift, and them Nagas and Naginis are back.
And it is not easy to acquire. It is the power of God. It is the power that the apostles had to heal the sick, to cast out demons, power over nature, the power of the elements.
Are we talking anion now? Did you hear what he said? Are we talking anion? I mean, look, this, we can't be making this up. Are we talking anion? Are we talking anion, Shabbat?
It is the power of God. It is the power that the apostles had to heal the sick, to cast out demons, power over nature, the power of the elements is Azoth. When Moses parted the Red Sea, when Jesus walked on the water, when he raised the dead, that is what Azoth does. That is the Kundalini's power. So all these people around the world that are saying they're awakening Kundalini, if they don't have those powers, they are liars.
And it's about that process to get to that Kundalini activation. That's another thing no one's talking about. And we're going to touch that in the next episode. But we're surfing the real wave right now with this Azoth. Let's get it.
Simple as that. Kundalini gives power over nature. Azoth gives that. So that power is extracted from salt, mercury, and sulfur when the conditions are established. But let's understand what this means. These first three elements are all interrelated with each other. You can't separate them. I told you already that salt relates to matter, that mercury relates to sexual energy, and that sulfur is fire. So you can look at it in this way. All salt has mercury and sulfur in it. All mercury has salt and sulfur in it. And all sulfur has salt and mercury in it. These three elements work exactly the same way as the Trinity on the tree of life. Within the Father are the Son and the Holy Spirit.
And we've already addressed this Trinity, all right? So this is the hijack version, but we already told you. We're talking Amma, Abba, and then the star seed, all right? Amma, Abba, and then the star seed. They're trying to hijack you again with this Kundalini. Pay attention, because he told you who used it. Jesus. You see what's going on? And Jesus is attached to this Trinity. But where's Amma in this Trinity? And if it's a real Trinity, where's Amma? Because how do you produce a star seed without Amma? Unless you're a homunculus, right? And if you're a homunculus, well, then you're questionable, my naga. We don't surf the wave with homunculus. Get up out of here.
So you can look at it in this way. All salt has mercury and sulfur in it. All mercury has salt and sulfur in it. And all sulfur has salt and mercury in it. These three elements work exactly the same way as the Trinity on the tree of life. Within the Father are the Son and the Holy Spirit. And within the Son is the Father and the Holy Spirit. Similarly, in the Trikaya, when we study Buddhism, the Dharmakaya cannot exist without the Nirmanakaya and Sambhogakaya. These three are always one. A trinity, there are two channels, one masculine, one definition of Azoth. We need to look elsewhere if we want to know where the word comes from. We can find it in the Bible. In the book of Genesis, in the 2nd chapter, we learn about the creation of Adam. And we've explained many times that the biblical story of Adam is a symbolic story of Kabbalah that has many levels of meaning. Adam, in the Bible, is not a physical man. I know that we all went to church, and we went to Sunday school, and we all learned that Adam was one man who was the father of all human beings. This is completely inaccurate. Adam is a symbol that has levels of meaning. Firstly, Adam can represent...
See, you're Adam, you're Adam, you're Atam, you're Adama, your Adama has to be a symbol for them because there's no direct connection. All right, which is why all this symbolic correlation has to be added to it, especially when we're talking about the practice of Kabbalah. You see what's going on? This is that hijack, Shabbatah. This is them hijacking your ancient Khan cross. We saw how the Khan cross was a part of the first civilizations of the Americas that was dealing with this divine Faya Wata that he's calling this Azoth. All right. And there was no Kabbalah being practiced with these Americans. You see what's happening? So, of course, your Adam, your Adama is going to be a symbol because you're a symbol, right? You're a symbol to them, right? Look at the Catholic Church and the Black Virgin Mary, right? And the Black Madonna and the Black Christ child when you dodging all hijacks. You are the symbol. So, of course, your Adam, your Adama is going to be a symbol. Surf the wave.
The primordial state of humanity, a state that we as a humanity once had, a state of innocence, a state of power, a state of knowledge. And
once he said primordial, you knew exactly that what I was saying was pure water, right? As soon as he said primordial, you knew exactly that what I was saying was pure water. Max AI.
Firstly, Adam can represent the primordial state of humanity, a state that we as a humanity once had, a state of innocence, a state of power, a state of knowledge in which we knew God directly, spoke with God, walked with God, talked with God, and had command over nature. When Adam is first created in the Bible, Adam had command and control over the garden, named the creatures, and was the most valuable creature in the garden, and had perfect happiness. That state is the primordial Adam, a state that we have in our consciousness that we can restore. But as you know the story, Adam left Eden because of disobeying the law. And that story is a process of how his helper was elaborated and problems came in to the scenario. Adam can also represent our brain, our mind, our intellect. Adam can also represent our being, our innermost. Adam can also represent one of the two channels of energy that winds up our spinal column. There are two channels, one masculine, one feminine. In Sanskrit, they're called Ida, Pingala. In the Bible, they're called Adam and Eve. So Adam has many levels of meaning. In the context of understanding Azoth, all of them apply. All of them. Because the emergence and elaboration of Azoth relates to everything about us. Everything. So I'm prefacing it this way because this is not easy to understand. I apologize. I didn't make up spirituality. If I could make it up, I'd make it really easy. But it isn't easy. If you want to have the power of God, you have to grow and learn. It doesn't come like a pill in a bottle. So when we look at this passage from Genesis, we see it states, "And the rib which Elohim had taken from Adam made he Isha, and brought her unto Adam." So I put the Hebrew passages here, the Hebrew words here, because these have a lot of significance in this passage. Anybody who studied Judaism or Christianity knows this story, that when Adam was created, God said Adam needs a helper, and so he put Adam to sleep and took a rib from the side of Adam to make the woman. So Isha can be translated as woman. But the letters here are very significant. Hebrew is written from right to left. Aleph, Shin, He. These letters are very significant. This woman is not talking about simply a physical woman. There is a literal interpretation here related to physicality. But physicality doesn't concern us now. What concerns us is how do we get out of suffering? And that concerns our psychology and our spirituality. So psychological.
See, in other words, he's saying it doesn't really matter who this Eve or Isha really was, right? Because she's the cosmic woman, right? She is the portal. She is the black hole. She is the Stargate. So what is he saying? It doesn't really matter who the Matrix is anymore, who the Matrice is anymore. The problem is, how do we get from our suffering? How do we end our suffering? That sounds like that New Test talk, right? That new test. They all need a Messiah, a Hamashiach, right? To save them because they have no connection to the original source, to the original story. And this is the only reason why the Hamashiach was even created, to save those who have no connection to the story. But you do, Mashabata. You are the ancient one. For the Most High has said he has only known you out of all the nations of the earth. He has only known you. Hawa has only known you, Managa. So what's really going on when you surf the wave?
Is not talking about simply a physical woman. There is a literal interpretation here related to physicality. But physicality doesn't concern us now. What concerns us is how do we get out of suffering? And that concerns our psychology and our spirituality. So psychologically and spiritually, Isha. What does that mean? The first letter of Isha is Aleph, which is the first Hebrew letter. Isha symbolizes air. And you see that the shape of that letter is a trinity. It is a yod, another yod extended as a vav, and another yod at the bottom. That is the Trinity in one, but expressed as air, as breath. the breath of God, the neshama.
Wow, that is Hawaii. Like, we cannot make this up. That is Hawaii. So you see, they got to go through all this weird explanation just to get to the drop that we've already been dripping for the tribe, for the Shabbat. You see how much they got to paraphrase you, Aqua? They got to take all these different avenues and cuts just to get away from you, Aqua. Surfing the wave right here with 432 Drop Nation. You're going to get all these vibes and you're going to get all these frequencies because the real one is bringing a charge directly to you, Aqua. We're surfing a wave.
And another yod at the bottom. That is the Trinity in one, but expressed as air, as breath. The breath of God, the neshama. The second letter is Shin, which is also a trinity. 3 yods brought together. The Shin represents fire. And you can see in its shape, it looks like a flame. The Shin is also a trinity. It is also a 3-in-1. Both of these letters are mother letters in Hebrew. We've been already telling you about the 3 mother letters, Aleph, Shin, and Mem. Air, fire, and water. So here we have...
What did he say? What did he say? Let's get it back for a stack. We surfing the real wave. Can't believe it.
Hebrew. We've been already telling you about the 3 mother letters, Aleph, Shin, and Mem. Air, fire, and water. So here we have 2 elements, air and fire. Alchemically speaking, those 3 elements I told you at first, salt, mercury, and sulfur. Mercury can relate to air and water. So in that sense, we can say that what we see here is mercury and sulfur in these 3 letters. The third letter is the letter He, which is the 5th Hebrew letter. It's a feminine letter, and it represents a womb. So here we see the woman. Air, fire, and a womb. The reason this is important is because of the next passage. The next line says, and Adam said, Zot is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. Zot shall be called Isha, because Zot was taken out of Ish. This is why it's important to know Hebrew when you study the Bible. And Adam said, Zot. Well, directly translated, Zot in Hebrew means this. Why would a physical man call his first woman, the first woman to exist, this? It's pretty disrespectful.
Keep in mind, we understand that this was being masqueraded by the republishers of the Bible, right? Those who put it back together and actually put light code lockdown on it, right? They went ahead and disguised this Azoth as this. But when referring to it, even in the definition, it refers back to a her or a she. This indication of this feminine. So we've already explained the feminine. All right.
It sounded like it doesn't sound like he's talking about a person. I don't call you this or that. So the choice of word here is a little interesting because it doesn't literally mean a physical person. You look further down, it says, Zot shall be called Isha because Zot was taken out of Ish. So here we see at the bottom here, Ish. Ish is spelled Aleph, Yod, Shin. Ish, directly translated, can mean man. So ish, isha, man, woman. And this is how most people read this passage. Literally, physically, just about men and women, however many thousands of years ago they think this happened, that God created some people out of the dirt. That's not the meaning. The meaning here is very cryptic, but very beautiful. Adam is saying that the Isha came out of the Ish. So look at that Ish. Aleph, Yod, Shin. Here we have the letters that I've written on the board for you. The Aleph is the air. The Shin is the fire. And between the two is the Yod. Number 10. The Yod is just a dot. A speck. But it is the first letter of the name of God. Jehovah. So here we see in that Ish.
Gotta dodge your hijack. We speaking Hawa, right? Which is cryptic when we get back to that natural flow. When we get back to the natural, there's nothing cryptic about your Hawa. But when they want to throw tetragrammaton, when they want to add vowels and these other, soundings to it, where you get your Yahovah, which is what we were talking about with the auric, right? Your auric type Hova body, which is your God body. You see what's going on? Again, they're just masquerading your powwow within these words. Okay, because it is cryptic. And we know why. We know why.
The first letter of the name of God. Jehovah. So here we see in that Ish, God. Between the air and the fire. Now, if you take that Yod out and you just have Aleph and Shin, that spells Esh, which means literally fire. So the man in this passage is a flame, a fire.
What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you earlier, the fireman about the ether? Didn't I literally say that? And see, this is my point. I don't got to read all these Kabbalistic books and undertake the Kundalini rituals and just to get the drop. Because we're connected to Hawa. We're connected to Hawa. That is the powwow, the indigenous frequency. You see what's happening? And I'm in that stream of this so-called Azoth. And I'm lit with that eternal flame, that eternal fire. I mean, Natural's been speaking this fire onto the Shabbat. And here he's talking about this fireman. You see what's happening? But I didn't have to go through all those hoops and hurdles just to get to the drop. It was simple. It was easy.
The first letter of the name of God. Jehovah. So here we see in that Ish, God. Between the air and the fire. Now, if you take that Yod out and you just have Aleph and Shin, that spells Esh, which means literally fire. So the man in this passage is a flame, a fire that has Yod inside, God. And from that man, Adam, that flame is taken, Isha, Zot. Do you follow that? We're talking about the primordial Adam, the pure Adam, the Esh, fire, who is Ish, a man, from whom comes Isha, a feminine fire, which is called Zot. That's the sequence. If you fell asleep, you can listen to it again later.
And now we're starting to get that divine fire water, right? Because the fire water is really who? Adam and Eve, right? Hawa. So our unity, Aquas, is the divine fire water. It is our Merkaba of Ascension. And this is why I've been telling you about this Merkaba of Ascension, because it's going to take our unity, Aqua. It's going to take our unity, Aqua. See, we got to be able to tribe up once again, Aqua. And we're going to have to bring this unity together to create this Merkaba, to create this vehicle of ascension. Okay? And we have to tap into the feminine within us to rearrange the masculine, right? And this is the cosmic shift within us, the orderly arranging of the cosmos or the chakras or the spiritual centers, the wheels within the wheels that lead to the vehicle of ascension. This is that cosmic arrangement, the shift. It's within. It's within. And you're surfing the wave, Aqua. Because we're going to need to be in union, which is anion. We're going to have to be in anion for this fire water to come back into play. It is divine. Shalom.
But it's really important. Here it is in Hebrew. At the top, Esh, Zot, Azoth. And you can simplify that just saying Hazot with just a hey at the beginning. Hazot. That means, if you were to translate it directly in Hebrew, it means the this, which means nothing. But we know better. Hazot.
We know that our ha means what? To be. Our hawa, that flow is to be. So if we say Azoth correctly, it means what? To be this. You see what's going on? To be this. And when you're recognizing you're the image of Hawa, you want to be this. You want to I do. Remember we were talking about that I do, the recognition, the I do, to be is to do. You see what's happening? So the Azoth is to be this. And that's Eve. We're talking Hawa, right? Eve, Hawa, Eve. With the Cherokee, the Anian, we are referred to as the Awa, right? The Aqua, the Wata. You see what's going on? Your Azoth is your Hawa, to be this. And it took the woman to be this. Because she was this cosmic fire, right? The cosmic fire, no different than Adam. Shalom.
These letters are really important. And to understand this, you need to have studied the Hebrew to really grasp it. I told you before already about the Aleph, the Yod, and the Shin. This means, oh, can someone get the door? The fire. Here at the bottom, the way we spelled Hazot, let me talk about the letters in the word Zot, so you can see a little bit of the significance here. The first letter I told you is the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the letter He. This letter He is feminine, and it represents the womb. The next letter there is a Zayin. Zayin is the seventh letter. Zayin represents a sword. Zayin represents a sword, a weapon. Zayin is also feminine. And the next letter is Aleph, and the final letter is Tav. Tav is the final letter of the Hebrew alphabet, the 22nd letter. And it means covenant or seal, a stamp.
It's interesting how he said it's the last letter and it's the 22nd letter, and we were building on 22 chakra levels. So it's almost as if for each letter of the Hebrew language, it represents a gate to each chakra point. And if that is the case, why is it that they only have you capped off at a 12-tree grid? If we have 22 letters in the so-called Hebrew alphabet. You see what's going on? They're purposely playing with you through this Kundalini Kabbalah situation. And it's over for all that hijack. We got that on the next episode. Ahab.
The completion, the ending, finished. So this word Hazot has the trinity of Aleph and a womb and a sword and a completion. Azoth is the Kundalini. Kundalini is the power of the Divine Mother. It is a feminine fire in nature that can emerge in us and give us the power of the gods. It is the thunderbolt of Zeus, of Indra. It is the power of Poseidon. It is the power of Vishnu. It is the power of Kali Ma. Here, Azoth. It is a tremendous power. It is not a toy. This symbol from alchemy represents the synthesis of the work of alchemy. Ish and Isha, united. Adam and Eve. If you've studied the Bible, then you know that in the very beginning, when the Elohim said, let us make Adam in our image, male, female was Adam created.
What am I telling you? You are the image of Hawa. You are the image of Hawa. And if we're really going to talk the level that he's talking on, we're really talking this Gemini energy, right? Because we're talking both. It is the balance. It is the polarity. It is the neutralizing charges. Masculine, feminine, canceling each other out to create a balance, a neutrality. You see what's happening? But they want to hijack you with this androgynous vibe because it's wicked that they, profession in. But you surfing away with a real one, a real spill elemental. Let's get it.
When the Elohim said, let us make Adam in our image, male, female was Adam created. Male, female. One being. Male, female. And it's only later that the Isha was separated. And we had male and female separated, physically speaking. But this has a psychological and spiritual component as well. This image represents the division or separation of Adam and Eve, Ish and Isha. But when they are united, physically, psychologically, spiritually, what is the outcome? Fire. Isn't it obvious? When you put a man and a woman together, isn't there always fire? Sometimes it's arguments and fighting, but it is fiery.
We call that a passion. You know what I'm saying? We call that fire passion. It is a passion, man. It is a zealous vibration. We're talking zeal, that passion, that ardent. And we've been surfing a wave on all these vibrations since we popped off with the genetic stars of Adam and the cosmic black Eve. You see what's happening? Hawa, Hawa.
Sparks, energy, life. Nowhere else does life emerge, anywhere in the universe, than between the combination of these two polarities. Man, woman, fire, physically, emotionally, mentally, sexually, fire. That's this image. This is an image from alchemy. It's 400 or 500 years old. It represents a spiritual process, a psychological process, an energetic process that is rooted in physicality, that our physical salt has to be a part of, but so does our sulfur and our mercury. What we see, I want to point out something specific here. This fire below them is creating great clouds of smoke and steam. And around it's night, and you see an eclipse or a crescent moon in the back. This is all happening under the influence of the moon, because we are all in the influence of the moon. That means we are in mechanical nature. We are in darkness. This image is showing the way out. And you see that the couple, Ish and Isha, masculine fire and feminine fire, both have their eyes closed. Spiritually blind. This is our state. So the way out of that is to learn to work with the fire. This image is of the tree of life, the Kabbalah. I know for beginners it looks rather intimidating. It's actually quite simple. The more time you spend with it, the simpler it becomes. This image, roughly speaking, has several important divisions that I want to point out to you. The first is at the very top, symbolically represented, is the Absolute. The Absolute is in Hebrew called Ein Sof Or. It is the primordial nothingness from which everything comes. It is the emptiness inside of everything that exists. It is the pure state of potentiality that has not yet become. And the process of becoming is Keter, the first Sephirah on the Tree of Life. That sphere represents how that nothing begins to become something. And in Hebrew, in the Bible, God calls this Eheye Asher Eheye. I am becoming. So becoming, or Keter, is represented by the letter Yod. That first letter of the name of God. That letter, which is the three parts of Aleph, and the three parts of Shin, and the three parts of Mem. So all those three mother letters are made of Yod. They are the pure becoming of that first Trinity. Keter, Chokmah, Binah. That Yod, that becoming, elaborates everything else. We are this tree, but we don't have any knowledge of the rest of it. These 10 spheres, 9 above us, and the 10th is Malkut, our salt, our physical body. We scarcely have any awareness of our physical body. We use it every day, but most of the time, we have no awareness of being here and now. We have no knowledge of how the body is functioning. We just feed it a lot of stuff and give it a lot of stuff, and it takes care of itself. And we really abuse it. And we have no clue as to the incredible power hidden in this body. Malkut, our physicality, has all of the rest of this, the heavens, hidden in potential, latent inside of us. Stated another way, inside of every atom of your body is Keter, the Buddha, the Father of the Father, the pure becoming, the light of the Ein Sof. That is in every atom that you have. Has anyone ever heard of an atomic bomb? Anyone seen images or pictures of the power of splitting a single atom? Everyone have an idea about that? That we now have the knowledge to split one atom and destroy thousands of lives? Did you know that that same power is in all the atoms of your body?
If you didn't know, well, you know. And if you didn't know, now you know, right? Because my Shabbatah, we know. And this is a Max Tawada to everyone that surfed the wave on that live. We'll be getting at you real soon with the next episode. Ahab to all the Aquas and Tawab Ox surfing the wave with a real one. Until next time, Shabbatah. Allah Hawa.